Okay, so hi there, folks. We're now in our next video in the introduction to statistics, and we will be discussing this forgotten lesson in the sampling techniques, that is, the non-random sampling techniques. So we're done with the probability sampling techniques, non-random rather, or the non-probability rather, non-probability sampling techniques. So we'll be talking about this in this video. So again, let's go back to the definition of sampling. Sampling means it's the process of selecting subjects of the population to be included in your sample. And it is very important that the sample is a good representation of the population, the best if it can be, okay? Because a sample in the end, we will be concluding something, okay, based on that sample, and it will be reflected to the whole population. So that's the process of selecting them, the respondents, is what we call sampling. So we have talked about the probability sampling in the previous video. Now we're going to talk about the non-probability sampling. Okay, so what do we mean when we say non-probability sampling? So we say that this is the sampling technique used when not all elements of the population, not everyone in the population, are given a chance to be included in the said sample. So that's why, if that's the case, this is very prone to what we call the selection bias. Okay, it's very prone to selection bias, and well, there are some cases that the non-probability sampling will be used. Okay, especially in some medical studies or such, but generalization. Okay, generalization of results are not assured or not guaranteed. Okay, and most of the time, or maybe all the time, the the inferential statistics, okay, cannot be used here because there's no generalization. Okay, generalization is not assured. So so what are these types of non-probability sampling? So we have four generally. Okay, so we have the convenience, the voluntary, the haphazard, the accidental, judgmental, and purposive is another. So these are all the same, one of a kind. Um, Maybe in some books you will see that convenience and accidental are separate. Okay, so it's based on their book. Number two is we have judgmental, purposive, also expert. It's also called expert. We have the coda, and we have the snowball. We'll be discussing them one by one here. So let's first talk about the first one. So we have the name convenience or accidental for its popular name, but actually it has a lot of names. Convenience, voluntary, haphazard, accidental, grab, opportunity sampling. So there's a lot of names for these. Okay, but it all talks about the same thing. That is, sample elements are selected because they are available. They are readily available. Okay, so it involves the sample being drawn from a part of the population that is close to hand or close at hand. Okay, so whoever is convenient for you, so you will take a sample from them. You will interview them and such. That is, a sample population is selected because it is readily available and convenient for the researcher, whoever the researcher is. So if he or she is convenient to you, so you survey him or her, and that will be convenient sampling because you did not consider everyone. You only considered those who are there, who are convenient for you, or whoever you will see or or meet that day. Okay, accidental, for instance, voluntary. Okay, from that name, so you can see how the sample is being drawn from the population. Okay, so that's the first one. Convenience, accidental, voluntary, haphazard, and a lot more. Grab opportunity. Next is number two. We have the judgmental or purposive, or selective, or subjective, or expert. I forgot expert. To name it expert. So okay, oops, sorry, not yet. Okay, expert. Okay, sorry for my penmanship. Last letter. There you go. Now, an expert sampling. The researcher selects the sample based on his judgment of who best fit on the established criteria. So if he or she sees that these individuals are best fit, so they will be the ones who will be part of the sample. So there are some researchers that will tell you or will push you to use judgmental or purposive sampling. Um, that's why it's part here that you will choose who will be the one who will be best, who are best fit. So sample, these are you use a sample, or you chose a sample that is selected based on the characteristics of a population and the objective of the study. Purposive sampling is also known as judgmental, selective, or subjective sampling, or expert sampling in some. Okay, so that is judgmental, purposive, selective, subjective, expert sampling. Now let's have here the quota sampling. So quota sampling is when you select sample elements non-randomly according to some fixed quota. So you have a quota already, and then you will just interview the first number of people on your quota. So this is a method of sampling in a survey in which the interviewer is instructed to include certain prescribed percentages of people who come from various identifiable subpopulations. For instance, men over 60, women under 30, unemployed men, and so on. Okay, so it depends on the study, but the thing is, there's a quota. Okay, and then you choose your elements or your respondents non-randomly. I want to emphasize that non-randomly. Okay. Now, lastly, we have the snowball, also called chain referral, or referral sampling. This is especially useful when you're trying to reach populations that are inaccessible or hard to find. So, for instance, your study is quite controversial, so as we say, HIV victims. So, they don't come out in the open. So, what you need to do is, for instance, you have a friend who knows a friend who knows a friend who knows a friend who got this who got this virus. So, you will give the sample to him, to her, to him, to him, to your friend, and then until it will reach your target your target um your target respondent. So this is where existing study objects recruit future subjects from among their acquaintances. Thus, the sample group is said to grow like a snowball, increasing in size as it rolls downhill. As a sample builds up, enough data are gathered to be useful for research. This sampling technique is often used in hidden populations, which are difficult for research to access. Example populations would be drug users or sex workers, like what I said. Okay, so that's Snowball. So we have again, as a recap, we have the convenience or the accidental sampling, we have the purposive or judgmental sampling, we have the quota, and we have this Snowball sampling. So we have four. So yeah, that ends our non-probability sampling techniques. Okay, so next up, we're going to talk about some data collection procedures that we can surely use in statistics. So see you next time, and thank you very much for watching.